Hey, Nation. Harry here, back with Bob Coppedge. How you doing, sir, out in the Midwest?
I'm not in Texas. You are.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And in fact, well, that leads into our topic, actually. So I've been a little bit busy in Q1. You can appreciate 32 years in Seattle, picking up my roots, bringing it in for a landing here in the Austin, Texas area. And I got a busy month ahead of me unpacking, but I missed the story of the last couple weeks, the exchange issue. So educate me and my audience as to what happened, and then we'll talk about cloud versus on-prem.
Okay. And I thought you were talking about the Oprah interview, but okay, no, we'll talk about the exchange. So, and I don't want to go into details, too much details on it, because quite honestly, there's a lot of people who've been covering it. But the bottom line was that a large number of on-premise exchange being the server that runs email for corporations, there was a vulnerability discovered, a significant vulnerability discovered in January or so, and it really wasn't publicly discussed until about 2 weeks ago. And
Yeah.
the word on the street was you have to patch, you have to patch, you have to patch, followed by you have to go to Office 365. Why would anyone ever take such a risk for having an on-premise Exchange server? And apparently this was discovered, they're saying right now it was a nation state, probably China, that actually discovered it. And a lot of Exchange servers have in fact been hacked or breached. The interesting thing is you had everybody talking about how therefore you should be in the cloud. You should be in Office 365 because everything is safe, everything is wonderful. And yesterday, Office 365 had about an hour's worth of downtime. And it's interesting because you're never safe.
Yeah.
You know, and I've talked with a lot of with MSPs and other folks in the IT business, and Google, Amazon, Azure, 365, all of these guys had downtime over the last 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
there was no loss of data, thankfully. But for you to basically sit back and say, I'm going to have 100% uptime and a commodity-based service, it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, and it inflames. And again, I'm glad you're sharing this story with me because I'm going to post it up to our Facebook group. We have that small business server
Yeah.
group, pretty active, and I'm going to start that dialogue because I already know one person who's anti-cloud, and he'll be the first comment. You know, I know how to drive traffic, right? So we're going to post this up, and I know who number one is. And he's going to say, a gentleman's name is Mark. I won't say his last name, but he'll say, "Told you so, told you so." And then there's the whole. I'll go to the other extreme. I'm on a little committee at the IAMCP, International Association of Microsoft Partners.
Yep.
Good group of fellas and gals, and I'm helping them out with some messaging on the partner-to-partner initiative. Well, they're coming at it exactly the opposite way. Microsoft is giving them content and messaging and, quite frankly, probably a little arm twisting to obviously go cloud.
Right. Well,
That's not a big surprise.
Yeah, and you take a look at any of the vendors who provide any kind of technology services to small medium businesses. All of the ERP vendors are all switching to cloud-based platforms of their service. It makes absolute perfect sense. Both from an economic standpoint and from a quality and from a support. But you can't think of it in terms of it's going to be 100%.
No, and I don't. And I think that's where the expectation management needs to kick in. You know, with my move and the storms in Texas. Now I didn't move in the storm. Let's be perfectly clear. I moved about 2 weeks after that. But the context is important. I'm in a new residence, and Spectrum out in the hill country, thank you. And Spectrum was supposed to start hooking up the internet about mid-February. The fiber runs just right beside, and it's all good. And you know, cable companies are, don't get me going on that. That's a whole nother episode. But the storm hit, and they pulled everybody in the state of Texas to go do repair, right? And that now that makes sense. I get that, and stuff happens. so I get down here, and now they're saying it's folks. We're talking in mid-March, and they're saying it'll be a few more days before they can return to hook up new hookups. So I got the what is it, the little side hotspot,
Yeah.
the little side thing. And thank God it's on AT&T, because AT&T is like 5 bars here
Right.
where I'm at.
Okay.
And I'm actually recording this with you over a hotspot. Now, what's that tell you about the quality of my connection, right? That I can even record.
Yeah.
But the point is, you shouldn't be in this line of work if you can't handle the heat in the kitchen. My career, I've never expected 100%, Bob. It's like my sister's husband, a doctor, emergency room doctor, would share off camera, but he'd say, "It's amazing the stuff we do even works sometimes in the
Oh,
emergency
absolutely.
room."
Well, a friend of mine back in the 80s, and I actually just did another video where I refer to this. She once basically told me, and it's true today, is the definition of obsolete in IT is doesn't work. If it works, it's obsolete because we're always adding new features, we're always adding new
Right.
capabilities, and the latest and greatest, almost by definition, has to have some kind of limitations as far as how well it works. And similarly, you've got the same thing going on. We want it to be cheap. We want it to be commodity level prices.
Right.
And so you have, and again, you can talk like, for example, backups. Office 365, Google Docs, all that, they don't necessarily include backups. Not functional the way we're used to doing
Correct.
it back in the small business
Correct.
days.
That's correct.
So we have to pay extra for that. And it is interesting. It is interesting, but you're absolutely spot on, right? When you talk about you have to manage and set and communicate expectations. So you can always basically say when you get into that heat situation, I told you so, in the politest way possible.
Well, yeah, in a polite way.
Which is not my strong
I
suit.
I have literally, when I carried the bag day to day, and I miss those days sometimes. I'm a little more comfortable now being an analyst where I just talk, but
Yep.
when I carried the bag, I mean, I used to, and you know how you become friends with your clients. We're all small businesses, your buddies, 4th of July picnic, all that. And I told Jeanette, because Jeanette was an office manager, 60-person real estate firm, and dedicated to her job and the owners. And when I'd get a little chippy, she laughed. I go, "Jeanette, between me and you, it's amazing this stuff even works half the time."
Yeah.
And that was not too far from the truth.
Well, and I think it was Bill Gates. One of his books back in the 90s, I think was The Road Ahead. And he published it right around his epiphany about the internet. And in that book, the first edition.
Oh, I remember that book. Yeah.
Yeah. And the first edition came out and said, internet's a nice idea, but it's a beta. It's an initial test. It'll never survive. It's never going to be the big thing. We got to come up with something better. And literally 6 months later, he came out with an update to the book that said, no. The internet is cool. The internet is absolutely where the future is. It's absolutely, and it's hilarious. I've actually got a copy of both editions.
Yeah, save those.
But it goes to the point of the internet as it was originally designed was never intended to do the things it's called upon to do. Not from the standpoint of the complexity, the security, the speed, the reliability. Everything has been jury-rigged on this entire industry. And we have been, doing changing tires and doing tune-ups and all that to a car that's been doing 200 miles an hour, without making any stops whatsoever. So it is amazing this stuff works as well as it does. DNS itself is amazing. It works.
Yeah, it is. Two final thoughts. One was, I think it's actually the beauty of a beautiful thing about the internet that it was created in a decentralized fashion. I mean, truly, right? So that's actually its strength, and ergo, your strength is sometimes your weakness.
Yep.
But the other thing, and I'll end on this since I have recently made the move I referenced, but God bless the internet. I mean, it has made Zoom towning possible, and that's a whole nother talk with you. In fact, I'll put it on for next month. But these Colorado ski resorts that were kind of on the decline from climate, right? The ski season doesn't quite go into late May anymore. Maybe goes to about April 1st. they got a second lease on life, man. I mean, they're thriving, and why not? You know, you work for Oracle and San Fran, and it's like, honey, we're moving to Telluride. And because of the internet. Well, hey, thanks for introducing us, educating us on the Exchange outage. I want to fast track this one and get it up into the group, the SBS group on Facebook, folks. Bob, sir, thank you, and we'll talk to you next month.
Cool. Look forward to it. Take care.
Yep.